I love it. Okay, let's jump in. So I kind of have today spliced into a few different spots. One, because we had Cody Gibson come to Utah was that last week? It's 2 weeks ago now. 2 weeks ago, I can't remember. It's so long ago. So, but the fun thing is I have all of his slides. So I want to kind of go through not only what he was saying, what was going through that, but then I also want to dive into a good amount of the economic model. And that's what we're going to be going into today, is a little bit of economic model and planning some goals, just to kind of get us squared up for the right aspect for what's next, right? So the first thing is, raise your hands, who watched the market update? A good amount of you? Okay, sweet. Of course, millions of things of information. There's all those stats. If you guys go to kwutah.com, you can go find the quarterly stats in there, and you can go get whatever slide you want, right? There's so many things. So if you want to show something or do something on your social or talk about a specific stat, it's in there, right? The one that I wanted to go through, because it was talked about so much at and with Cody Gibson, was this one. So this is fascinating because, of course, this is annual sales throughout all of Utah. Not Utah, this is nation. But what's interesting with it and what Cody Gibson was saying, I'm going to move some of these things because they're bothering me. How do I get that to go away? Go away. All right, that's a little better. Ultimately, if you look at this, it's interesting to kind of see where and what happened, but this is total houses sold. So the fact of the matter is, for the past couple of years, this year, even projections, we've sold about 4 million. One of the fun things that Cody Gibson was talking about was they feel pretty confident that the 4 million is the bottom. That they feel like we're not going to sell less houses than 4 million based on the data, which is very interesting, right? So if you think about, okay, 4 million, which is 8 million sides, right? That amount is still, there's plenty of houses being sold for you guys to sell, right? And it's okay, how many are you going to sell? That's always that question of what you do and all of that. But what was really interesting is they, of course, were projecting that next year will be very similar, right? The same number-ish of cells. The big thing that he was talking about was which I felt like was a little pessimistic, but I think it's better in some ways. He feels like prices, though, and we've been feeling it, will probably still come down throughout next year. So their prediction over at KWRI as a nation is that next year will soften more, but we'll have the same number of cells. And then probably early 27 is when we'll start see finally interest rates and everything start to change that cycle back up as a nation. And that's always the fun part. If you listen to Johnny when he was talking on the other one, you guys probably got some more of his insights. I know he's very much thinking that Utah will see that a little sooner. No. Good question. Not go down faster. That we'll start seeing the interest rates and everything and people starting to buy a little sooner than sometime in 27.
I was just thinking of backup. Did he think this year?
He was thinking sometime mid-end of next year. So he thinks that we're going to be a little bit out sooner of this recession than what KWR is thinking as a nation, which I think is fascinating. And the reason why I want to start here is because ultimately what Cody Gibson was saying and going through is very much about how are we preparing ourselves for this next year, right? What are we doing as a business owner to say, hey, great, what does this look like, right? So his whole thing was call the play, win the day. And I'm going to go through it pretty fast. This, of course, will be there for you later to go review through. But he did a great job of going through a lot of these details. So the first one is he was going through is, so what's actually changed? Changes. He said, when the market has shifted, there are fewer total transactions. Buyers and sellers respond differently, and leads don't pour in like they used to, right? If you are not actively generating leads, you're seeing a slowdown in your business. Lead generation is your business. Without leads, you have no sales, you have no closings, and no income, right? So being successful in the market is like fitness. If it is a workout plus a diet, not one or the other, it's both, and it's and not or, right? As an agent, the workout is the daily lead generation, and the diet is the prep to do the lead gen. Fascinating this way. These next months of what you do and don't do will define your career. And I truly believe this. I talk with Johnny all the time, and it's fun to see the people who went through the 2008 and like right before and right during, and the work and effort they put in that made them move from being, for sake of nothing else, the nobody in real estate to who they are. And it's because of the effort, work, and aspect they put in during that time, right? So when I talk with Johnny about this, we have a fun, we're ready to see, okay, who are the agents who not only are that 17% who renew their license after 2 years, because 80 something get out, right? That's just the reality. Yeah, it's up there that people don't renew their license, right? So the reality is, okay, not only who are going to be the ones who stick to it and get through and don't quit, right? But also put in that effort and work are going to be that next set of people that were like, wow, where did that person come from? Who's this person, right? So it's going to be fun to see. The cool part is, for a lot of us who've been in the industry long enough, if we crank it back up, we get more market share going out of a recession because of what we do now, right? The effort we put in now is what really sets us up for the next part of market share next. So you'll be glad you did or wish you had, is the statement it said. We are, and here's, right? We are all rookies today in a sense. In fact, 87% of agents have only sold homes in the market where they're worth more money each month. So let me pull that one apart. 87% of agents have only sold houses where prices are going up. So, because who in here has been in the market before 2009? We have 2 people, right? If you think about it, rough 2009, we were on a pretty steady-ish up all the way until maybe a year or 2 ago, right? Overall. So that's more than 87% of us in this room who haven't been in this scenario where we're coaching people and telling people what potentially is coming next in the down market. Make sense? So this is a big point that I want to point out. It's, hey, are we improving not only what we're doing, are we having enough conversations to make sure we're in that right spot? Right? Yeah.
Since there's only like me and one other person who's done this, but I will say this much.
I love it.
Keep doing what you're doing if it's being successful, right? A lot of you went through Bold. Keep doing what you were taught in Bold, right? Keep working on your social media. Keep working on any AI innovations that you're working on. If you can continue to do that, and don't be afraid to shift to do something that's harder, because like back in the day, all of a sudden it was, oh, it's great, and then now it wasn't great, so you had to shift to do either short sales or foreclosures. And there was a lot of agents that did not want to do short sales because they were a pain in the butt. However, by shifting your mindset and getting in the trenches and doing the short sales, guess what? The ones that did do it, we're still here.
Yeah,
right?
correct. Yeah, and that's where this is kind of interesting to look at, because it's ultimately like we're wanting to go through and make sure that we're all in the right spot for what's coming next, right? Of course, you guys have done great this year, right? And you've been building and doing that, or maybe you've done a little bit less, but you're all here and showing up, right? So the question is, okay, with what's next, right? Where is that going to look like, and how are you going to get ready for, if it's the nationwide KWRI, like we have a whole nother year and prices might come down a little more, right? Or if it magically, and we're happy in middle of next year, Rates all of a sudden magically made it happen and all the buyers are opening up their doors. Either way, we got to prepare for the worst, right? And you got to prepare in a way that you're having your plays and going in that. So the truth is, there is no other activity you can do each day that will do more to improve your work life than generating more leads. So here's the 5 truths around a shift. So first one, market shift. Yeah, that's what happens. Okay. 2, when markets shift up, both reactive and proactive lead generation techniques work. When markets shift down, only proactive works fast enough. 3, make no mistake, when the market shifts, new strategies are required. 4, the issue is not so much the shift, but how long we're in it. The interesting thing, and I don't remember the exact stat of the time, it was 3.6 years, right, or something like that, of the average time a shift happens. Do you remember, Rebecca? You were there sitting next to me.
Yeah, it's 1.5 years of people not realizing
That we're in it. So it takes that long to realize we're in it.
1 year in the shift.
Yep.
And 1.5 years to recover. So I think it was 4.5.
It's something like that. So it's right around 4.5 years. But the interesting aspect is the time frame of acknowledging it. And one of the reasons, of course, is how they define a shift economically. You have to have a certain amount of quarters where it shows. And then it's like, okay, we've now had that. So we've really been in it for this long. And now to get out of it, we have to not have that for so many times. It's kind of a thing. But it's right around that time. So that's where it's like historically looking at it and looking at the data, we're at that spot where it's going to still be a little longer, right? And then it's going to get better. So yeah, Jeff.
We've been in it for about 3 years, is that correct?
Yeah, we've been in it about 3 years. Correct. Yep. Yep, so that's where it's, and that's why KWRI, from looking at the stats, looking at what's going on, we've had 3 years now at the bottom of 4 million home sales, right? We're probably going to have at least 1 more year of that rough number. Then what does it look like going from there?
Kind of back to 2018 market.
In some ways, right? In some ways we are, in some ways we're not. Like there's some aspects that are very similar, and that's what's interesting with every shift. It's a little different, right? And that's kind of that fascinating part of saying, what does the data look like, and kind of helping that out.
Take the COVID years out.
Yeah, I mean,
The interest rates are the biggest.
Yep,
Okay.
totally. And right now, if you look at how many houses are on the market versus what time, all of those things, days on market's probably the most similar to 2018 if you looked and compared that to that part. But of course, even like the buyer sentiment of how it feels is different than 2018. 2018, you had people they're still buying and it was slower, but they didn't have as much of what's going on now in a different feeling. Kind of, but good question. So the last one is, in a downshift, it's all hands on deck, right? Pulling it together and making it happen. So here's kind of why they called it call the play. And the thing is, okay, why do coaches call plays, right? Some of you maybe watched the game that just happened. I don't know if you're happy or negative about the baseball one, right? Of going through that whole thing. But the whole question is, okay, the reason coaches call plays is to maximize their chance of winning, right? How do you strategically figure out what's next to make it so that you have the best chance of winning? If the coach went out there and said, just do your best, it would be interesting. It'd be like a lot of other sports that you watch, like my 5-year-old playing out there. It's wonderful, right? So the whole goal is to make it where you can increase your chances of being certain in knowing what's going to happen because of the play. Make sense? So here's kind of what they say. So to maximize it, going through, we want to have that structure, that play, that being ready for it. So here's the play that Gary Keller wrote. I love this because this is in 2016. Gary Keller, he'll just wake up at random times. Like this one was in the middle of the night. And he has his pen and pad and paper and he just writes. And it's super interesting. I love reading what he writes So I actually have another one that he wrote just recently too, getting us into the goal side. But this is his play that he wrote out. He wrote, make no mistake, you're in a shift. It's not an economic shift. Unemployment is below 5%. GDP is around 2%. Inflation is less than 2%. And the actual real income is slightly up. This is about a normal cycle that happens. This is about the normal cycle that happens in real estate and its time. You've used up your extra buyers, and now there is a price wariness and fatigue. It's caused naturally by real estate getting too expensive too quickly. So days on market increase rapidly, offers come in slower, and thus lower without not as much competition. The trick is to get out in front of it right now, and how. Okay, here's his 6 steps that he says. 1 is go through your expenses. Do the whole green light, red light. Like, what can you cut off from your personal and from business, right? He said that the average person who sits down and takes an hour to go through their budget shaves off about $1,800 for the year. He said you usually have that much subscriptions and things that you just didn't even know you were paying for or using enough that you're like able to shave off by looking at that. And that's some money, but that's going to help you, right? The reality is you're in a game of playing with things. 2, double your lead generation efforts. I love that for Bold. Bold, I feel like, helped a lot of you to say, hey, great, go from here to here, right? On pushing the lead generation efforts. Triple your focus on lead conversion. So getting better at the conversations, right? We have conversation mastery after this. How do you continue to improve your conversations, get better at how you speak, and really understand that at that higher level? 4, increase your leverage. I love this because this is AI. And we're going to talk a little bit about that. Like, AI is probably your least expensive way to get more leverage in your life. So we're going to show a little bit about that. And of course, there's a lot more leverage that might make sense depending on where you're at. Increase your training efforts. One of the things that too many people shave off of their expenses is training and coaching. And the problem is that's what makes you grow and get to the next level. Sometimes it's so easy to justify not spending something because it's like, oh, that will immediately affect my bottom line. It's a cost. But reality is, you as yourself are your best ROI that you're going to get out of anything. So increase your training effort. Like, what are you lacking that you should be learning? Free or not free, but I'm just saying, that you need to make sure you're diving into to say, hey, how do you get to that next level? Right? And last one, increase your visibility to communication. And this one, they're pointing out, this is the reason why at Family Reunion, they're doing a whole day on social media, right? They're doing a whole thing about YouTube and getting yourself out there. All of this aspect of increasing how visible you are to people is going to be very, very important for what's to come. Make sense? So here, a lot of this I got to go through pretty quick because I want to make sure we have plenty of time. But this is the lowering your expenses. It's going through and just making sure you do it, right? The next one is, okay, how are you doubling that? What's it looking like? Are you doing it with time spent? Are you doing this? How are you tracking it, getting that much more productive in that way? Increasing this right here, right? Of increasing these different spots. So 1, I capture potential leads, right? 2, I contact every one of them. Crazy stat, and it's still bizarre. It's just over 50% of leads that receive aren't even called in the real estate industry. And that, right? But it's a stat that if you listen to the MREA for this week, he was going through all the stats, and that is still probably the number one thing, even if you're getting leads. And that's where he was very strong on not even trying to go get more leads and pay for more money. He was like, just talk to the people that you know and actually do your job of communicating with them, which I thought was really fascinating. But over 50% of leads that come in aren't even connected and go to that next step. Mind-blowing, right? I ask every one of them to connect So being able to build that relationship, have that aspect of being in that spot. Okay, AI. Really, there's two ways, especially nowadays. Technology plus AI or people. AI, I love this one, how simple this breaks it down. There's two ways to use AI. One, it's for lead generation, or two, it's to get stuff done. These are the two things that you can help speed up. So we're going to continue, of course, with AI, using that, showing you how to do that, doing it in different ways to help you get things done faster, better, and more human. I love that Jason Abrams always says that, because the reality is you should be using these to make you more human and better at what you do, right? And then also, we're going to go through more and more ways for lead generation of using AI. He basically has this. These are the large language models. Understand what one's happening. Pick yours, right? ChatGPT, whatever you're using. Personalize it with a master prompt, educating it on who and what you do, right? Having it so that it actually knows, okay, you're a real estate agent. You work on this, those things. Perfect your prompts. We're going to do some more classes around this because I want to help you guys get even better at perfecting your prompts. And then put your prompts into actions. And this is ultimately how it works. I'm not going to go and dive in deep, but he goes through what it's doing because its ultimate goal, AI wants to give you the outcome that you're asking for. The problem is if you don't ask for a good and you don't have a clear enough outcome, it's going to go through all the algorithms and pop out an output that you might not think was as good because you probably didn't give it a good enough of a prompt, right? Here's the ones that say are the top 5. So, and they are, each are different. I know a lot of you have heard me talk about the different ones, and I use them for different use case scenarios, right?
Can you go back?
Boop.
Are you finding you still like chat? Have you been delving into Grok at all? Or
I actually haven't with Grok. I want to do more with Grok. My main 3 are ChatGPT, Claude, and Perplexity. I use ChatGPT as my think partner and my assistant. I use Claude as my writer. So anytime that I need to write something or get something more polished and make it better, right? So you don't have all the spelling errors that I normally put into things. Claude is who I go to for that. So if I'm going to want to write something I'm giving out to someone, like, hey, here's the process of buying a house or whatever, I'm going to be between ChatGPT and Claude and even Perplexity, but I'm going to end at Claude and have it help me generate what it looks like, right? Perplexity is very, very, very good at data. It's one of the ones, and that's where I think Grok is doing a pretty good job because it's up-to-date data. I haven't used it yet, though.
how much would you, I guess, Perplexity, Grok, would you compare them the same?
I would say they're similar, right? I mean, I think this has some aspects of the same, but it's a little more, it's a little different. I truthfully haven't played with that one as much as I need to. I use those 3 are my 3 assistants, my interns, who help me out with things.
They also come out with a Grokpedia.
Grokpedia.
So it's gonna be a contest with Wikipedia and Grokpedia.
That'll be interesting. So fascinating. That's where that part comes in. So next one is making sure you do this, having it so your memory is on, right? I mean, I know you can turn it off so it doesn't remember anything that you said, but you should have it be actually like an intern who remembers instead of every single time you're doing another 50 first dates, right? Like, that's an interesting way to look at it. So, okay, people, this is really go off of what it looks like, make sure you're using things correctly, having the consulting and recruiting model. We have a lot of this that we already have at Keller Williams, but this is what he was going through of what it looks like for not only getting that done, but if that's the right step, of course, talk with me more and let's dive into it more. Increase training efforts, right? Do these things, right? Next one is increase your visibility, right? You want all your clients to remember you because they're already getting things from a million different spots. So how are you being present and in the right spot with all of them? And here's some different ways you can play that game, right? A lot of you are doing certain things. A lot of you are doing really well with X, Y, and Z, right? It's kind of picking what are those, what you need to do, and stand out in that way. that was his whole slides, but I kind of wanted to go through that to kind of prep for, okay, what's next, right? Because the reality is, you know, the next step is the economic model of saying, hey, how much do you want to make next year, right? And taking some of that time to look at it. We're going to go through some activities. Before I get into that, anyone have a chance? Did you guys get this letter from Gary Keller? Okay, yeah, he sent it to me personally, so it was really nice.
Like Taylor.
He did. It was really good. It was 5:30 in the morning when he wrote it too. I mean, he's really thinking of me. Yeah, something like that. So it was really nice of him. No, but this right here came out. So this was great. I got it from him about a week and a half ago. Ultimately, this was his morning thought. Like, I just want a brain like this where I wake up and I go, man, I'm this insightful, right? But I kind of wanted to read his whole letter that he wrote, like his thoughts that he's writing when he woke up in the morning, right? One, he said, aim high. I'm lying here thinking about the updated MREA version that we're working on. At the very start of the book, before anything else, we tell a story about hunting wolves and aiming high. As I think about this, I begin to question if what we said was really understood. It's a good question. Here's what I'm thinking. I think most people misunderstand aiming high as being about ambition or competition. But it's not. It's about giving ourselves the best possible chance to reach our best potential. I worry about the mix-up, so I reflect on my reasoning. One, plans rarely go as planned, right? If we only aim for what we think we can reach, we're guaranteed to fall short. When life inevitably, thank you, shows up. It's like aiming for the moon to reach for the stars. If we only aim for the hill, we probably never leave the ground. Two, we rarely hit what we aim at. We hit below it. Research says, I know because we're working on the book, that we tend to achieve roughly 70 to 80% of what we aim for. So if our target is small, our outcome is smaller. If our target is high, even our miss can still be exceptional. Three, the process stretches us to our potential. The value of high aim isn't just in what we get. It's in who we become pursuing it. Even if the end result falls short, we end up bigger, more capable, and more prepared for the next mountain. The goal isn't the prize, the growth is. Four, direction precedes motion. Just as a rocket must aim above the horizon to overcome gravity, human achievement requires the same thing. When we set our trajectory higher, every choice, resource, and effort organizes around a bigger outcome. Five, aiming low guarantees regret. The real tragedy isn't missing the mark. It's never discovering how far you could have gone. I'm certain about what I'm thinking. Aiming high is insurance for greatness. Big goals require big models, and big models require big plans. And big plans drives big results. The higher the aim, the greater the stretch. The greater the stretch, the closer we move to our true capacity. It's not about arrogance or ego. It's about success in a world where things regularly go sideways. I turn over and shut my eyes while I repeat the words of Norman Vincent Peale. Shoot for the moon, even if you miss, you'll land among the stars. Gary Keller. I've shared this with a few of you that I've run into throughout the last week and a half because I always love Gary Keller's, I say random, but like, how can that be random? But his thought process, right? We're getting into the stage of goal planning, going from there, and really going to be diving into the economic model of what does your next year look like, right? The reason why we're doing the retreat is for doing this on a large scale on your whole self, right? All 7 areas of your life. what we're going to do right now is dive into some numbers specifically for this next year of how much money you want to make for the life that you want. So, one, who can tell me really quickly what the economic model is?
About the money.
It's about the money. All right, simple, right? That's, I guess, as simple as we can probably put it. It is the formula that breaks down what it's going to take to make amount the money that you want. Okay? So what we're going to do is say, hey, where are you at? And the question is, where do you want to go so that we can then, over the next time, be able to build that best plan possible, right? I painted that this weekend. I was thinking about you guys. It did. It's cut off. Yeah, I did sign it. Totally. I did. It's so nice of me. So good. But what I want you to think of is, okay, what do you want that to look like? Thinking of what Gary Keller said, of course, of aiming high. Like, I don't want you to go, all right, I made 10K this year. I want to make 12 next. Right? I want you to be able to say, hey, great, what is it with what your life you're wanting to look like so we can aim for that and aim above that to hit the mark, right? Because that's the way that we can build this and get to where we're wanting to go. So we have two ways of doing this. One, I'm going to walk you through the handwritten way of doing it that you have and tells you the formula. Or two, while we're walking you through it, you can also use ChatGPT. I made it really easy for you. I know, it's great. So I went through and had a fun conversation with ChatGPT on building this out. The cool thing with the ChatGPT version, and you're welcome to start going through it and answer your ChatGPT and go through this process, is I added a couple elements in the ChatGPT realm that you're going to have to answer to be able to get you there, right? So while you're going through that, some of you are probably just going to do it on paper. I'm going to go through it, what it looks like in paper, and you can work on it on ChatGPT as well. Because ChatGPT is literally asking and probably going through the same questions that I'm doing right now, right? So you can either do it on that, you can do it on paper, you can do both, and you can do one later, whatever you want, right? But ultimately, I went and built this GPT for you to have this dialogue and conversation to make sure you're set up in the right way. So the first thing on here is figuring out, okay, how much money you're wanting to make. Right? If you want to say, hey, great, I want to make 100 grand. If you want to say you want to make $1 million, whatever that number is that you want to push for this year, that's that first question that you're going to be going through. And in here, there's the two spots. You have the number of how it works from the MREA, Millionaire Real Estate Agent, if you're a team member or run a team. And it also has the numbers if you are solo. So depending on that, you're going to use different percentages, right? If you are on a team or if you run a team, you're going to use the 40-30-30. If you're solo, right, then you're going to do the 70-10-20. And that's going to help you populate and plan for the expenses of what it is to be in business, right? After you have that number, you're going to start following what it says, right? So this is where it's always a little tricky. The ChatGPT will give it to you pretty smooth. So if you're doing this, you can also then use the ChatGPT to fill out the paper one right here. Scan that. So, but I, in the ChatGPT one, had it estimate you paying taxes. Of course, if you pay less taxes, you have a good CPA, you do certain things, that's your win, right? And if we're doing 30%, we're saying you pay the highest bracket of taxes, right? That's not doing it probably in S Corp. That's probably not writing enough stuff off. That's probably like there's a lot of not owning rentals. This is saying what it would look like if all you did was make money and you're a real estate agent. Fair enough? So what it's doing is it's going through and it's asking you questions for you to answer. And I kind of want to hear it, this is where it's like, we'll open this up for people to work on. Yeah, of going through and kind of lining that up. But the ChatGPT version is allowing you to answer those questions, and then it actually at the end will give you some coaching conversations that I built into it. Yeah.
I think on the appointments to leads conversion, it's at 75% still. That's like if you're crushing it. Right?
Yeah, which is fine.
Okay. cool.
So, and that's conversation wise of saying 75. You can always tell, of course, if you want to change something. We went off the averages of what they say in the MREA for your, you'll notice your appointment to close ratio and your, it's like 75% from your appointments to a written BBA or ERS, and then 75% from that to being closed. And then I guess the math, it had a fun time adding in 75% to leads, which is, that's not going to happen. So the lead aspect in the ChatGPT one, I might have to go fix after this, because depending on what your ratio is, that's going to be different, right? I would say pretty easily for a lot of you, every 20 conversations is going to get to an appointment if it's SOI, right? And if it is cold calls, you're probably going to be every 1 out of 50. Those are like, and that's depending on your skill set, but that's not in that part correctly. But everything else up to that point should be accurate of your appointments and things like that. Questions of when all you guys are filling things out. It's kind of a fun spot. It's more of this is to work and get it all done. Honestly, we're just working on that. I wanted to do that because ultimately that's it for today. Like I wanted a little bit of time for us to do that and give you that tool so you can plan on it. And I'd love to have more of a conversation around what yours is looking like, questions that you have, and things like ahas, things like that to wrap up today. But I know a lot of you are now having fun talking with your friend. I did.
Perfected this problem, you know?
I
How do we save this model in our ChatGPT?
You should be able to, now that you have access to the link, you should be able to go back to it on your saved ChatGPTs. I haven't publicized it. What? Yes. It'll open it in your, yeah, you can still share it.
Share ChatGPT?
Yeah, so if you click on that top, you can share it with someone. I have it not public, so it's not like a searchable one if you go look in the GPTs, but I do have it so that anyone with the link can use it. Cool.
I'm saving it on a screen so I can go back and look at it.
Awesome. Other questions, things? I know this is, we have already food out there too. So this is, I kind of am just like, this is, I wanted to take the time to be able to play with this. Okay, I'm curious. A lot of you have gotten either close to the end or where you're at. I want to hear some of your how much money you're wanting to make, and B, how many appointments a week it came out with. 1.6 appointments a week, and that was to make how much money? 250. Okay, cool. Who else? What else?
To start over, do I have to scan that again?
4.4
Maybe.
per week. 14 to 15 to it. 5 appointments a week, 1,500.
How many? Sorry, I missed it.
Oh,
5 appointments a week.
5 appointments a
15
week.
Appointments a month.
Okay. To make your
336,000.
336,000. Okay, love it. And this is all based on the MREA model. But I wanted you guys to be able to go through this so you can think about it. If you want to pull it up again later, you're welcome to, right? Like sleep on this, think about it, figure out what that goal is. And who in here knows why we go off transactions based rather than volume based?
It's a habit.
transactions you can track.
Numbers,
Yeah, good. It's about the people, right? This is about helping enough people. You can't control if someone wants to buy a $500,000 place or you find the one that is going to do your $10 million, right? I mean, those are really cool. So go get those, right? At the same time, you can't control that. You can control your conversations of talking with enough people. And that's going to be how you get to appointments, right? That's going to be how you then go from there. Jeff? Yeah, I mean, you can charge it too. So you, right?
Yeah.
Depending on where, what, how, all of that. But that's all your decision, those plays, right? Do I sleep at night? Yes, I do. Yeah, I sleep great.
There's a problem.
I have a prompt for that. Hey, Chad, sing me a lullaby. Let's go through my prompt to go to sleep. That's in Notion. Yes, Taylor. Your first one is this. What are 5 things that you're grateful? Oh, 5 things. Okay. Yes. I should do that. This will be good. Might drive my wife crazy, but you know, I already do. Awesome. Any other questions? Okay. I want you to have this number so you can have it somewhere so you know what your goal is for next year. Either A, you figured it out right now, or B, if you want to do it again and like kind of be playing with it. I want you guys to be in that spot that you feel comfortable and confident with what you're doing so that the next things that we can do are planned and in even a better spot. Appreciate you guys.